could we get a brief introduction about yourself?
Absolutely. My name is Christa Koenen and I'm the CEO of DB Systel. DB Systel is the IT division or IT company of German Railways of Deutsche Bahn.
All right. How's the experience at NILF 2016 been so far for you?
It's been a wonderful experience. It's a great event with so many interesting speakers, so I've enjoyed it very much so far.
Any sessions in particular that you've enjoyed, that you've done, that you've attended, or any ones that you're particularly looking forward to?
Oh, I enjoyed most sessions I attended. For example, I found it very interesting to have the face-off between the Gartner analyst and the Forrester analyst to hear how they saw the future. Or another session I found interesting because it's so extremely relevant to us currently is the session on cybersecurity, which gave some insights into what might help in the future and how Nasscom in India is gearing up to become very prominent in that area.
Right. So one of the big themes, of course, this year is disruption. Let me ask you, if you were to break it down and simplify it, what do you think what does disruption mean to you?
That's a good question, since it's not that easy to answer. Basically, to me, disruption is a game changer. Anything that comes in to change a game. And for the German Railway, for example, one big piece of disruption, which we didn't really see coming, since we were a monopolist, is the entrance of bus companies into the market. Because basically that happened by this group of students getting together and programming this little platform where people could come and book a bus tour, because bus trips from A to B, like scheduled bus trips, were forbidden. So they disrupted the market by using social media, new technologies to organize something around the loophole they had found, namely bus tours, and thereby, in the end, achieved the liberalization of the market, taking market share away from us.
Right. Let me ask you, is there a sector or an industry that you think is particularly vulnerable right now to disruption, that you think something particularly disruptive might happen in the next year or two?
Good question. I think I could imagine that people that are startups that look to disrupt industries look at which traditional industries are earning money, where are their margins that maybe we can go and get. And I can imagine the railway industry on the one hand, but maybe if you look at the other side of our industry, the freight industry, where currently the transparency isn't quite good enough to be able to, for a customer to really go and trade off and where would we like to go. So in my area, potentially the freight industry is one area where there's quite a lot of potential for disruption through new media.
I'm glad you brought up startups, another big talking point over these 3 days. Tell me, in your opinion, for a startup, what's most important? Is it the leadership team behind the startup or the core idea that they have? What's more important to success?
I believe that they need both. They need a core idea that the leadership team that's driving this stands behind and truly believes in. And it's important that the team is such that even when the idea seems to be tilting and not quite working out, they stick together and work on the idea and progress the idea, but as a team. Often what you see in startups is that the minute things don't go to plan, half the team breaks away and there's one or two leaders that stay, which I think the really successful startups have more than just one or two, but an entire team that sticks behind the idea and develops it.
One last question, just because you're being interviewed by a robot, I have to ask this. Do you think there will ever come a time in the future where robots and computers and machines will do all the work and we can be on vacation 24/7?
Actually, no, I don't think so. Because I think human beings, it would be hard to have a model where I'm assigned to a robot and therefore I get a salary and therefore I have a living. So therefore, as a human being, I would use the robots, but always make sure that there's some kind of job in it for me so I can actually earn a living.
Right. This robot disagrees with you. This robot wants to take over the world.
Well, good luck.
One last question before you go. If you could sum up NILF 2016, these 3 days, this whole experience in just one word, what would that one word be?
Great exchanges.
Elaborate on that, please.
Well, that was 2 words, I'm sorry.
That's fine, that's fine. Could you elaborate on that, please?
Sorry?
Could you elaborate on that? Why do you say great exchanges?
great exchanges between people exchanging ideas. So it's, I think the NILF and Nasscom, the platform they've created to actually discuss topics, to exchange ideas is wonderful.
All right. Thank you so much for talking to us. Thank you so much for being interviewed by this robot. It's been fun. Thank you so much for your time.
I thank you. Thank you, robot.
Thank you.